Hey everyone, this is SM Pratt, and a lot of people want to know, is Pokemon currently in a buyer's market? For those of you who know attention span, the short answer is yes, we are for set cards. Set cards are currently experiencing a retrace. They are, in general, declining from the explosive growth that they experienced over the past couple of years. And I think for a lot of people, this is counterintuitive. Pokemon continues to grow, so why are prices decreasing for most set cards? So I'm going to try to break this down to the best of my ability. We're going to go back to about 2016. We experienced a huge re-entry, a huge resurgence around then. And this isn't unique to Pokemon. If you look at other established hobbies like Star Wars, Magic the Gathering, go to MTG Stocks, look at the price chart from 2015 till now, very similar to what's going on in Pokemon. So with Pokemon, we had evolutions, we had Pokemon Go, the quintessential definition of organic traffic. You throw some advertisement out there, someone looks at it, they go down the rabbit hole on Google, and they end up watching SM Pratt and buying Pokemon cards. So that is the just bare bone definition of organic traffic. That's what happened in 2016. Or in short, one of the best memes in the hobby, the Pokemon Go bubble. If you weren't here to experience that beauty of a meme, it was basically like the flat earthers or the anti-vaxxers just conspiracy theory on why prices are increasing. And it was just, in short, a bunch of butthurt collectors that were salty that other people liked the same cards they like and were simply willing to pay more than they were. So that was the Pokemon Go bubble in a nutshell. It was the naive way of misunderstanding how markets work. So those variables within the Pokemon Go bubble were increased growth, increased buyer pool, increased demand, with also increased consumer income, but most importantly, low supply. The supply in 2016 was, I think, one of the driest times of the driest markets. So if you mix low supply with all those added variables of growth, what is that going to yield? Explosive growth that we experience. Now today, the biggest variable that's changed there, all the other ones have continued to grow, I would say incrementally. Consumer income naturally increases. There are, I think, more people buying now. There's definitely more frequency of sales today for sure. But the biggest change in that equation is the supply. So if we look at like a PSE9 Shadowless Charizard, around 2016, it was selling on $2,000 the low end and then $2,500 on the high end. I think you had maybe 0 to 2 copies available in total, where today you have 15 copies steady available. And this is because so many people are buying and selling today more than ever. Whenever there's a feast in the ocean, the sharks smell that blood, the whole ecosystem comes in to that moment. You got the Poliwags, the Poliwhirls, the Poliwraths, the Whalemers, the Wailords, the sperm of the Wailords coming in and just enjoying that feast. So now we have these big whale buyers, these big businesses who weren't involved in 2016. You have this new capital, not only on the collector end, but on the business end, on the buying end. So those big stores who are doing, $1 million, six figures, $1 million in their annual, expense and just cost of business of buying inventory, they are now steady buying Pokemon. I have a reoccurring joke in Patreon where I say every month, you turn the calendar, a business just bought a WotC collection. Even me, I just bought a WotC collection this month. And again, sperm of the sperm whale. There are people every month, businesses buying those collections that didn't exist at all pre-2016. So not only do you have a growth on the collector end, you also have a massive growth on the buying end. So that just blew up the supply. So that's the general breakdown for why it's in the buyer's market today. And specifically set cards. It's specifically set cards because pretty much everything that's rare has continued to grow or sustain value. Worst case scenario, it's sustained value, if not grown. I've talked about this since the beginning, talk about it on Patreon all the time. I beat a dead horse about it because it's a universal truth. And for people who don't want to accept it, that's okay. I love buying these cards for cheap. I love paying a fraction of what I paid in 2013 for the same exact cards. So, why rarity is winning out is if you go back to that equation of that feast in the ocean, right? Just imagine everyone's coming in and seizing the opportunity. Carpe diem, seize the carp. Everybody's swarming in. What's the one thing you can't optimize? Rarity. Those big whales can fill their gullet with 10 Charizards, no problem. They'll come in, real story, true story. They'll come in and buy 40 Expedition Charizards, no problem, without even flinching. That's a snack. That's just a snack. You have actual businesses buying. That's a legitimate example. And I think for collectors, there was this, going back to that Pokemon Go bubble, there was this insulation of, them and their buddies, and like their maximum spending power in a month was maybe a couple $1,000s. That was it. I'm not trying to, dick measure here, do a pissing contest, but the fact remains that there are businesses who are spending that in a day, and they don't even notice. So therefore, when you have this increased spending, it's going to just swallow up what's available. So when it's rare, it's hard to swallow up. It's impossible to optimize, a unicarp. Sticking to the ocean analogy here, it's really hard to swallow up a bunch of unicarps. And if you do, it's going to be a big meal. You're going to have to pay a premium because they're rare. Pick your poison. Any card that's rare, Worlds cards, stamp cards, any trophy card, even, look at first edition base 10 Charizard. Why it's difficult to just buy a ton of those is because that qualifier of the 10 is very, very difficult. So it creates this difficulty to acquisition. That's the fundamental truth there for rarity. That's why it continues to grow in this super optimized market. So not only do you have this increased growth with these big businesses, within that, there's this NOS boosted, there's these Poliwags just Tokyo drifting all over the place. They're just Tokyo drifting and flipping like crazy. You have the whole ecosystem, and you have these new little Poliwags that are fresh. They just got their feet wet in the water, just figuring out the tide, just figuring out the currents, and they're like, we are buying things. We are doing this. We are buying this. We will take this price. And because of that high frequency and spending 90% of their net worth on Pokemon cards, anytime that current increases, there's a little bit of a wave that comes through, it's going to knock them over. Whenever that bill comes, whenever that phone bill comes or whatever, not only do you have the big businesses putting more cards out there, within that, you have a lot of people constantly flipping through cards and just driving those prices down even faster. And this isn't some type of cynical, I'm joking and kind of, tongue-in-cheek joking about the Poliwag flippers, but at the end of the day, I absolutely love flippers. To give you some real numbers here, these cards, like in 2013 PS10, were selling a little bit under $100 on average. I remember selling Ghastlies, $100 PS10 all day. Voltorbs, $100 all day. So I love that these are now like $30, $40. Feel free to keep them down there as long as you want. Feel free to fight over the crumbs, because again, I'm going to open that mouth and just swallow up all those first edition base PS10 cards. And again, sperm of the sperm whale. So that's the general breakdown for why we're experiencing a buyer's market. And now the other golden question that everybody wants answered, which of course no one can predict the future, but just looking at all these variables, you can get a probable outlook for the short term. And I think that outlook is going to be, it's going to remain the same for the foreseeable future. I don't see the variables changing. To go back to this idea of like the Poliwags, they're like going in circles and getting hypnotized by their stomach. At the end of the day, what I'm suggesting here for people who are getting their feet wet is that you need to be able to just relax and enjoy what you're doing and focus more on cutting your cost and enjoying the hobby rather than making money. And I know it sounds like a motivational speech, but in reality, when you're someone who's like too thirsty to like make it and make money, that's going to add unnecessary anxiety to your day-to-day operation. Where if you're someone who's chilling out, spending within your means, going after what you like, cutting cost, that's a very calm person. That's a very patient person. That's that calm water. You're able to see, forward long term. That's what you want to do. So that's my free advice for the people who feel like they're always going in circles. It's impossible right now to do this business model or lack thereof of saying, we just bought this WotC card. It's like every business is buying that WotC card. Again, 40 Expedition Charizards. That's not an exaggeration. The dude posted a picture of it. It's just like, I've never seen that many Charizards together on eBay in total. Like, it's just nuts how much these businesses are buying. But more importantly, they're buying the stuff that is easy to acquire. It's easy to go out there and catch that bass. It's easy to go out there and catch that trout. It's really difficult to hook that marlin. It's really difficult to do that big fish, deep sea fishing. It's really hard to do that, but it's very easy to go get that bluegill or whatever it is. That's a very easy thing to do. So keep that in mind, for the people who are trying to do this as a side hustle. It's really optimized right now. Everything is overly optimized because of that general equation, and I don't see it changing in the foreseeable future. I think what's my opinion, this is my opinion, I think what's going to happen is this manic flipping is going to self-regulate. The market will regulate this. And I think a lot of this stuff is just going to be bought out by businesses. I see it myself. And again, sperm whale, I see it myself. I'm getting offered collections weekly, numerous collections a week at this point. And I buy some of them. I don't buy most of them. I buy some of them. And what I do with them, buy them and forget about them. Just like these. Some of the serial numbers, this guy over here, 21 years old. Starting with a 2 and a 1. Some of them start with 1s. And I've held these things for 10 years, and I'm going to hold them for another 10 years. So, again, you got to be able to chill. You got to be able to buy stuff and forget about it. And don't get insecure about, oh, well, this guy spent 1,000, 10,000, whatever. If you're just spending $10 a month, it's the same perspective. I was there at one point. Now it's different. But that same perspective is what carried me through the Poliwag evolution. And I think, more people need to hear that, because you can't just go and buy an item, grade it, and make that 2016-17 margin anymore. So, good news is, this is a great time to buy set cards. If you're looking to do sets, fantastic time. Like I said, these cards are cheaper than they were in a much smaller market, which makes no sense. Back then the capital was so much smaller, and people were willing to pay. It makes no sense to me why these are under any first edition base common. I don't care what it is, PSA 10. It makes no sense to me if they're under $100. But because everybody wants to undercut each other, I'm like, sure, I'll buy them. So, there you go. That's my take on the buyer's market. That's my breakdown on it. Let me know what you think about everything. I think it's exciting. This is what I love about hobbies, is just being engaged, and noticing these patterns and noticing the movement and the current of the water. Again, best advice I give you, buy what you like, just chill out. There'll always be another day. There's going to be another year of Pokemon. Just relax, buy within your means, and it'll be all good. So there you go, guys. As usual, let me know your thoughts. Pretty much it. Till next time.